Afternoon, everyone. Well, good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
All right. So today we're going to be going through the basics of Microsoft Word. You guys can see the chat on my screen, or you guys can just see the screen as is. All right. So we're going to just be going through the basics of Microsoft in a way that you guys can understand. Right. So I'm just going to go through the objectives that we have. Right. And if you want to make a little jottings as we go ahead, that's fine. So we're going to be talking about the use of word processing. We're going to be talking about 3 main tips to master for school, right? And then we're going to have a break. And then we're going to talk about the uses of PowerPoint presentation, and then 3 tips to master for school there, right? And there can be Q&A segments. If you don't understand anything or there is something you want to learn about Microsoft, you can ask in that time, all right? So the first thing, the first activity we're going to be playing is a Family Feud version. Now, it is not, I'm trying to read the chat as well. It is not a full Family Feud, but I'm just going to ask some brave people among us to give one reason why we would use word processing software or Microsoft Word, right? And then we can discuss on it further. So this is just a fun activity to get everybody to gearing back from the break. So that's good, Natari. So we can just have any brave souls to just go ahead and get one use as it is to schoolwork, one use for a, forgive me for the background, for Microsoft Word. You can type it in or you can unmute your mic and say it. Type SS, okay. Type documents, let's see if that's there. I think it's there. All right, so school assignments, right? Robin, what kind of documents would you type? That could help you in guessing the other ones. Yes, you're correct. What other documents, what are the types of documents that you'd work on? Research papers are good, and that comes under school assignments, but that's a good answer, research papers. Posters, that's true. I think I'm going to count that as one of the answers. So newsletters, posters, books, right? We use Microsoft Word to do things like that as well. Report cards, research, newsletters, novels, etc. Yes, those are all good answers. They are good answers. All right. Anybody else? We may have some unique ones, so it would take us a really good guess to get those two. All right, so just gonna give a minute again for everybody to think about what those other 2 options could be. Think outside of school now, and I will reveal the answers shortly. So think of options outside of school. The reason why your mommy or your daddy or your older sibling may use Microsoft Word. Invitations, right? I think that's one. So letters and resume creations is one, right, Joel? So invitations, you might write a letter to invite somebody somewhere, right? A card, yes, that's true. Birthday card is true as well, yes. All right, so I'm going to give you guys the last one. You can use it for note taking. And I use this one because as you guys go back to school, and you guys are going to have maybe online classes, it's important for you guys to try to learn use Microsoft Word as a way of taking notes, all right? All right, so with that said, you just need to know like fundamentals. So Microsoft Word is what you call a word processing software. Now, word processing software is a software that you use to type in any document. So all the examples that you guys gave, essays, invitation, a birthday card, a card, posters, research papers, right? Those are the things you'd use a word processing software for. Microsoft Word is the most used, but you have others. So you may have Google Docs, right, that you use online. You have Open Office, right? You have, I think there's over 20 softwares that you guys can use. For this presentation, we will be using Microsoft Word, but I've structured it in a way that is practical, so you guys can see the skills and use it on different software such as Google Docs and otherwise, all right? So, first thing to learn about Microsoft Word. Now, when you guys are going back to school, right, and you're creating your essays, your documents, you need to know how to format it and how to style it, right? Everybody with me on that? Good. All right. So there's a lot of things to learn about styling a document and formatting a document. So first things first, let's learn some basics, and I'm going to be teaching you guys some cool shortcuts to use in between, right? So this here, you see all the menus. Let's see if I can move the camera. All the menus, that is called a ribbon. So I just hit it. I'm going to carry it up back. So the menu part is called a ribbon. These at the top are called the different tabs, right, and different menus, right? Right? So what we're going to be focusing is on the home tab to look at the different menus. So here we have font. Everybody knows you can change the font as you feel like, whatever you want to use. There are different types of font that you can use, right? For school, you're normally asked to use Time Romans. You normally asked to use 12, right? So I would advise you guys to stick with this one because it's the one that your teachers normally ask you to use for school, right? For other ones, you can use Calibri, you can use 11, you can use those for school as well. Now, there's some interesting features that we might overlook. So say, for example, you have a font, like you write something and you want to make it smaller. This small thing here, you guys can see it? Good. So this makes the text smaller. This makes the text bigger, right? If you want to change the case of the text, like say, for example, you want all of it to be uppercase, right? You want all of it to be lowercase, right? So those are options you can have as well. Now, aside from that, you can bold, italize, underline, strike through the text as is. But mostly in school and for schoolwork, you're going to be using the underline and the bold, right? And the italics. You won't be using the strike through a lot, right? And then these options are to change the color. So this changes the background or the highlight. This changes the font, right? So that is simple. And I'm going to go over it again. So this is where you change what font it is. So the different types of looks that it have, that's called the font. This is the size. This is how to change it from smaller to bigger if you don't want to go in that path. This is to change the cases and so forth. So that's why the simple stuff. Because we're keeping everything simple. Now, can a brave soul, as we go into paragraph, tell me what this, oops, gone already. Right? Can someone tell me why would you use this or what does this mean when it's a line spacing or a paragraph spacing? What do you think it means? In the meanwhile, I will type up something that someone answers. Right, so Natari said, it means how you want your text to be spaced and line up. Good. And Daniel is saying the same thing, amount of space between the text. Those are good answers, guys. For when you're writing your stories, yes, you have people who write the stories and want it to be easier for people to read, so they space it. So say, for example, right, I want to make the space smaller, right? I come here and I can make it smaller. I can make it bigger, right? For school at year level, try to get it at 1. If the teacher asks to double space, use 2, okay? Now, for these ones, so this one is quite simple, and a lot of people know it. So left align, when it means to align a text actually, it means to put the text in that direction. So you have left align, you have center, you have right align, and you have justify. Justify just means you're having it in one place and it's not aligned, but it's together. You don't have to use this one, but those are the ones, and I'm going to teach you the shortcuts. So I would advise everyone to get their pens and papers, right? So say, for example, you want to left align everything. The shortcut for left align is pressing this control button on your screen, on your keyboard, which is CTRL. You press the L button at the same time. So you hold both buttons at the same time, right? And it comes up left align. If I want to center it, you take the same control button and press the letter E, and it centers. If you want to make it go right, you press the same control button and you press R, right? And this is the same shortcuts used for all. And you see, it says it here. So if you want to justify it, Control J, and it should justify it, right? Most of your assignments, you would want the headings so that it looks attractive and it's in the teacher's eyes. You put that in the center, then you left align everything, all right? That's what you do for most of your projects. Good. Now, separate and aside from formatting, you notice that I have some fancy things here called styles, right? Has anyone ever used the styles part of Word before? All right, good. So we're going to be learning something completely new, right? So the style part of Word is essentially just to showcase, right, the different abilities. So say, for example, you have a big topic. That would be the heading, right? So you have heading 1. So heading 1 is your big topic, right? The big topic. So say, for example, you have introduction, right? And now say, for example, you have a subtopic. You put heading 2. And here you can put right? Now say on the cheesecake, you want to have different body paragraphs describing stuff. You can use heading 3. You say, sorry, cheesecake. Cookie, cookie and cream and things like that. That's how it would look like. So this is your heading 1, this is your heading 2, and this is your heading 3. At the end of the video or at the end of the class, we're going to be seeing how you can change how the headings look, but I'll show you a brief example of it. So say, for example, you're working on your next project, you can put introduction as heading 1. Say the teacher asks you to do another segment of the project, you make that a heading 1 as well. And if there's subtopics under that big topic, you can make it a heading 2, right? Good. And with that, we can move on to the next tab. So now we have seen the styles, we've seen the paragraphs, we have seen the font, right? The last thing about paragraphs, these are the bullet points, right? So if you want to make a list of things, you press that button. And you can also change it to have different use, different bullets used. So you can use this one, right? And you can use other ones. This is actually my favorite. I don't know why, but right. So separate and aside from that, you can have numbers, right? And that could be another option for you too. Now moving on to design. Insert, everybody would know, you know, this is where you draw your shapes. If you need to draw a shape, right? And you can change the shape accordingly, right? That one, you can, it's not really something that you have to go in depth, but it's really just straightforward. So you can have the shapes, change the color, you can change the outline, which is the outside line, and things like that. But to design, this is fancy, as I always like to call it, and I actually learned it very late. So say for example, I had the same document, same words, and I am describing sentences, right? And the title of this presentation was word processing, right? If you guys not following, don't feel free to just text and I'll go back over it quickly, right? So say for example, you go back to home and you look for title, right? So this is the title of your presentation, you put title. You go back, this is your heading, so you put heading 1. Now when you're in design, you're given different options that you guys can use to make it different. So say for example, you use this one, or you want to try this, right? And it shows you the different options that you can use, right? So what I do encourage you guys, if you have access to a computer, go around and practice just fooling around and learning by experimentation so you can get familiarized with the different styles, all right? Everybody clear on that? Just let me know in the chat because I'm following. All right. Okay. Awesome. So for example, say you don't like these colors, right? Blue is boring, right? Everybody said blue already. And you want to try different colors. Microsoft Word allows you to try different color schemes as well, right? So say for example, I want it to be bright. So I look for red, orange, yellow. If I want it to be calm, I look for blue or green yellow. You can do things like that. Also, when you're experimenting, because guys, it's very important with Microsoft to just learn by experimenting. So if you're experimenting as well, you can customize your colors and just fool around with it. See what colors might look pretty, what colors may not, right? And this is for like if you're taking your notes. Don't do this for your assignments. For your assignments, it's safe to use blue and at most green, but keep everything in the text black and white. You can use it for the headings, but your text must be black, right? And then for your fonts, you can change it here. So say for example, you put this in heading 1, but you don't like how this font look. That's fine, you can select it. You can change it, you can center, you can center it and it still looks okay, right? And it doesn't change from it being a heading 1. You can just simply put it back how you want it, right? So back to design. So with that said, you can see where you can change the different designs, you can change the colors, as well as you can change the font back over here, right? And this is just a basic introduction, guys. So if you already know these things, it's fine. But what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do is to go out and learn. Because a lot of things about Microsoft Office you can teach by yourself, or you can learn by just trying and seeing by trial and error what works and what does not work. All right. So that's what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do. Just go out. You might decide maybe not writing a book, but you can still use the sentence, a quick brown fox jumps over the black lazy dogs. That, according to science, it has all the letters of the alphabet. So you have A, B, C, D, E, right? I'm going all the way down. So you can use this as a sample sentence to see what you want to try, if your text looks good or a font look good, or you want to try to move things around, all right? So the last thing is how we do layout. Now, this one you have to pay attention closely because a lot of people may or may not catch this on the first try, and that's fine. But it's important that you keep on trying and you keep on practicing, all right? So let me just remove this for a second and we look at this. Now, when you're printing, you notice that you have margins. Margins describe how close the text is to the corner of the page. So standard, to make sure it prints and it looks presentable, the margins are 1 inch. You don't have to trouble the margins unless your teacher instructs you or you're printing something for yourself and you want it to hold on less pages, you can put narrow. But if it's an assignment, always make it be normal, all right? Even if something is not fitting, do not try to complicate it, right? You can try practicing with it, but don't complicate it because it might have issues printing, all right? Or viewing to the teacher. Good. Everybody understood that? Just let me know in the chat.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So guys, just to go over it again, don't really trouble the margins unless you're asked to, right? Now for orientation, now you have this as a portrait, right? Where the paper is going, quote unquote, the long way. If you want the paper to go the side way, you can change the orientation to landscape. And what it does, the paper is now sideways, right? And it will print as such. For your assignment, unless otherwise asked, or you're trying to make like a chart, you put it sideways. If you're given a normal assignment, portrait. So landscape means sideways, portrait, long way, right? You don't have to change the size of the paper because you're going to have to be printing it. So it's best to stay on letter size. If mommy or daddy or auntie or uncle is printing it on a legal size, fine, they will change it for you, but don't change it, right? Last trick in this segment, which is really cool, columns. Now say for example, you want to break things into columns to make it look more symmetrical, or you're trying to get it into one place, right? You can select all of the text, and you can put it into 2 columns. If not, 3, right? So I hope you guys seeing it. That's why I'm doing it practical. So to put it back, you can put that 1 column, that's your normal. But say for example, you want these 2 to be beside each other, right? What is important though, you press enter. That's it. So what may happen now, if you do this, you may have it still going into a column. So what you want to do also is move whatever you put in columns above something that's not in columns, or you put it on a different page, all right? It's not something that you can easily use, right? It's something that you have to practice with. So say for example, you had a list of things. So you're listing the different types of cheesecakes. Sorrel cheesecake, cookie and cream cheesecake, normal cheesecake, orange cheesecake, right? Lychee cheesecake. You want to make that list into columns. You can come back here in columns, make it 2, and then you can type normally. Right? You just select the text that you want to make in columns. Okay, everybody caught that? If you didn't, let me know so I can go back over it. Okay, everyone clear? All right. Cool. So guys, and the last thing. So this is the last thing we're going to do before we go into question and answers for Microsoft Word, because you guys are really going to be using it for PowerPoint, but just for clarity. A lot of times in primary school and high school, when we just started, we sit down and we'll go back over and write table of contents like this. Right? And you put in the whole heap of full stop. And then you put 1. You come back again and say, for example, you have to do body. You do that again. Okay. And you press 2. I'm going to give you a smarter way to do it and a faster way that you can show your friends, right? Say that you learned something. So quickly, we're going to be making headings. So say, for example, you have to do a book report, right? And your teacher asks you, okay, so say, for example, I'm going to pick a random name and work with it. Daniel. Say, for example, Daniel has a book report and her teacher gave her different topics to do. So say she have a summary to do, she have a character, she have to talk about different characters, right? She have to talk about the setting separately, right? And say, for example, she has to talk about the plot. What are the other parts of a story? What are the other components of a story that everybody remember? So you have a characters in the story, you have a plot in the story, you have settings in the story. Is there anything else in the stories? Any other feature of a story that we're forgetting? All right, so I'm going to add, right, theme. Good. So say Daniel is now asked to do all of this and you have to write like paragraphs on this. And say, for example, there are different characters. So say in the book that she read, there's a character called Jack Sprat, right? You had Jack Sprat mommy, right? You had, forgot the friend's name, but you had friend, right? You had all of those things. You had to write a paragraph or 3 paragraphs on each of them, right? Mommy Sprat. Yes, Mommy Sprat. Let's go with that. Mommy Sprat, right? So say you have all of those to do, and you have them on different pages. So to make something on a different page, quick shortcut, Control, Enter. And you start, that whole thing will be on a new page. So say, for example, you come again, new page, right? You want a new page, Control, Enter. You want a new page again, Control, Enter, right? You want a new page again, right? So we're just going to do that until we have the last page, right? And then after that now, we would have bibliography, right? Say, for example, Daniel had to do one, right? Now, all of these are on different pages. And now you need to make a table of contents. Instead of being like everybody else who sit down and write introduction, you know, and do the long ass notes. Nope. You guys are going to learn a smarter way to do that. say you go in table of content, right? And Microsoft will automate the process for you. So once you put everything as heading 1 and heading 2 and heading 3. So once you made sure that there are headings, this is what is going to happen for you. You press automatic table and it comes up. You see? Right? And that is way easier, right? So if, for example, you think the pages change or you want to update the table, you can just press update table. You just put entire table and it changes, right? Now you realize you might type certain things and in the table of contents, it's all jumbled with the text and you want everything to look the same. You come back again, press home. Remember I showed you guys this, and you say capitalize each word, right? And everything will be capitalized. Don't know why the summary didn't do it, right? Or you want everything to be lowercase, right? Say you want everything to be uppercase, or you say that you just want it to look like how it would look like in a sentence, right? You have that option. So for now, I'm going to use the uppercase so it looks neater, right? So this is how you'd make a table of contents, but it's very, 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 very important that you give everything the correct heading. So you put heading 1, if it's a subtopic, you put heading 2, right? Everybody caught that? You want me to go over it again? Right? Is everybody clear with that tip? All right. Now, with that said, is there any, because we only have 5 minutes left for Q&A, so is there any questions that somebody wasn't clear about? You can text me privately. I would go back over if you don't want everybody to see that you didn't get something, that's fine. We're here to learn. So anybody have any questions or something that they weren't clear about or something that they just want me to show them quickly, right? I'm going to give you guys a minute for anybody to type that out and then we can move forward. Yeah, so Natari is good, William's good. Daniel is okay. All right, let me see if I can see who else is in the chat. So I'm going to assume that Jumin and the others are good. All right. And so we still have a little time on the minute left. If anybody else wants to try me. Right. So I'm going to take it as everybody's okay. Right. So awesome sauce. So guys, what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be switching to PowerPoint. But I am a person who believes that we work in short times and take breaks. So what we're going to do, right, is just take a little 5 minutes break, stretch out your legs, go grab a cup of water. We're going to start back at 11:50 with Microsoft PowerPoint, because I hear that you guys have to make PowerPoints. They want your PowerPoints to shell, all right? So everybody just stretch your hands up, kick your foot up, whatever stretches you guys do at home, right? And I'm going to pause my screen and I'm going to share the new one, all right? So we're going to start back at 11:50. Everyone just stretch your legs, get your water, go to the bathroom if you have to, right? If anybody have any other questions, you can feel free to ask and I'll answer in the meanwhile, all right? All right, guys, I'm not starting back, but someone had missed something, so I'm just going to go back over, and hopefully everybody who probably missed a tip or two can catch back. All right. So if you deleted something, you made a mistake, you want to undo it, you press Control Z, right? Everything that I did just came back, right? And I'm going to be using Control Z a lot to show the person who missed the last thing that we did. So the last thing we just went through was how to make a table of contents. And we said, if Danielle had a book report to do, and her teacher gave her different parts of the book report that she needed to have, right? She could essentially make different pages, right? So to make heading 1, or to make the bigger topics, you put this in heading 1, right here, right? To make the characters in the book, heading 1. And let's say the book was Jack Sprat by Dean Morris, right? Or Jean Morris. Not sure of the lady's name, but it was a good book, right? And the different characters are Jack Sprat, Mommy Sprat, and Friend, right? And you wanted to ensure that these were subtopics. So you put the subtopics as heading 2, right? Now we also learned that if we wanted to make things on different pages, right, we could use a cool setting where we could just wait until we finish typing out everything, and to start the new page, we press the Control button, settings, right? So I'm going through the different settings that we could use as well. So plot, so say for example, we want that on a different page, we press Control and we press Enter. It comes up on a different page, right? And we also do the same for the themes. Cool. Now say we're going to go back over everything that we have, all the things that we need to make a table of contents, right? We don't want to be doing introduction, we put in all the full stops just to say one. So what I am showing you guys is a cool trick, just going back over for those who just joined. It's a cool trick to see how can you do that in a more easier fashion. Sorry, in an easier fashion. So you go in table of contents and you press contents. Once you have the text formatted in heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3, you could easily just press this and it comes up, right? Now say for example, you did not type it out like how I type it out properly, right? The same tips I showed you earlier, right? You could change the casing so you can make everything uppercase, you can make it sentence, you can make everything lowercase, you can capitalize each word, right? And that's how you make a table of contents. Now say for example, you typed and something changed and the pages are no longer matching. What you do, right? You should, I don't know what my computer doing today. You should see something called update table. You will update the entire table and it will change accordingly. All right. So that's just for the person who missed it. I hope you are a bit clearer. All right. Good. So now we're going to move. Let me just switch screens. So now we're going to move into the PowerPoint. Now, I am a firm believer, and when you get to higher education, you'll realize that PowerPoint is used for everything, right? And I assure you, your coordinators can attest to this, right? That when you come to university, you're going to be doing a lot of PowerPoints. When you get to high school, or for those who are already in high school, when you get older, you're going to be doing a lot of PowerPoints. So it's always good to make your PowerPoints interesting and interactive. So we're going to quickly go through uses of PowerPoint and presentations. Now, other from Microsoft PowerPoint, you have Google Slides, you have presentation in Open Office, there are different softwares as well. For this demonstration, I'll be showing you guys how to do it for Microsoft PowerPoint, right? Just to check, everybody came back, right? Everybody's here? Let me just
Yeah, I believe everybody's here because I'm looking at the numbers
and it's still the same.
Everybody's here.
All right, awesome. So, right. So for the PowerPoint, there are different things we're going to go through, right? I'm trying to make the chat come up, but to keep hiding from me. All right, got it now, got it. Right? So, right, so I'll keep that nearby. So, to show you the different features of Microsoft PowerPoint, I'm just going to go through them. But we need to know the main use of PowerPoint is to present stuff. So say, for example, you're doing a show and tell, you're doing a presentation on or a group work assignment on the indigenous people, and you want to show on the screen, you know, different types of indigenous people, which Caribbean countries where they're from. For example, you might learn that the Kalinagos, the Caribs, the Arawaks, all of those groups, you want to know where they're from, right? And you're going to do a presentation on it. These are the skills you must learn. All right, so we're going to go through the three main skills, which again, is going to be style and formatting, design and layout, and transitions and animations used in PowerPoint, right? We're going to do a nice Q&A at the end and sum up everything, all right? So here we go. Home is home, right? And say, for example, you type in the name of the camp. So I gave the name of the presentation. I gave the name of the presentation, the name of the camp. You can come again, same fonts can change, and the same size can change, right? Everything that you learned in Microsoft Word about this part has not changed, right? And everything you learn about Microsoft Word about this part with the aligning and changing which side it's on, right, has not changed, right? So that's why we're going from fundamentals up. So nothing much has changed. Columns are now here, right? You don't really want to use the columns in your title, but I'm just showing you. Columns are now here. Before it was all the way over there in layouts. There's none in PowerPoint. You have all the shapes here. You can quickly grab on shapes if you want to make a shape, right? Now layouts. Now a lot of people, you create a new slide and you come here and you press new slide, right? But say for example, you want to do a different format. You know, you want to change it. You have layouts. So the layouts show you the different types of slides. So you can have a title slide. You can change that title slide. Okay, ignore this, guys. You can change the title slide to a section header. So like say, for example, you're going through the different indigenous people again and you want to talk about the Kalinagos, you can have a section header for Kalinagos, right? You can have a section header for a picture and you give the caption there, right? And it tells you. You can just have blank ones, right? So get yourself familiar with it. And again, guys, I cannot stress this enough. Come to learn with an open mind. So when you go home or you get access to a computer, fool around with these things. Trial and error. You'll be surprised how much you can learn on your own. Right? There's a true and false card now. Right? And I'm using the latest version of Microsoft. So it may be different from the 2010 and the 2007 versions. Should have made that known at the beginning. So that's why I'm trying to not show you guys the features that I have that I know wouldn't be in a normal one, right? Say for example, you want to delete a slide, you can right click and you see the options. So you can delete it, you can duplicate it, right? Good. So we're going to move and look at a normal slide. So again, guys, I love cheesecake. So you're going to be looking at the different types of cheesecake. And I created this thing quickly to show you guys this is how it would look in a format, right? Say for example, I want to change the text on one of them. I can change the color, right? Nothing is in stone. So everybody caught just the basic idea of creating it and editing the text. So say for example, right, I start a new one and I'm going to say everyone should love cheesecake, right? And I want this smaller one now to match with these. There is a button on your keyboard called tab. When you press tab, it goes one up. If you want it to get back, you can just backspace and start from scratch. Alright? But if you want it to go by a little more, like carry it up or indent it, as it's called, you can press the tab button and give the reasons why. Why should you love cheesecake? It tastes good. Like who doesn't? Okay? You can do those as options as well. Now, the fun part of PowerPoint that everybody loves to do. So this is just fundamental. I do advise when you're creating PowerPoints, it's going to look a bit bare. I chose to fancy it up before. It really looks like this. Alright? I advise you type out all the PowerPoints that you need to type out and then you design after. It's easier that way than to design and then work on the PowerPoint. So always type out your PowerPoint to make all your slides and then you can design them after. It's fun and it's more rewarding, right? So say for example, I come to design and I can use the different themes that Microsoft give me. It may not come out like this on your computer, but they give you different sample themes that you can use, right? So you have those. You might not be able to change the color like how I can, right? But if you get that, what you can easily do, should be, or not, you can format the background, press format background, and you can change. So you can make it a gradient, you can change it to what color you want it to be, right? That looks a lot more cheesecake-ish for you, right? So you can change the colors. Right, so you want a picture for the background, you can insert whichever picture you want. Right, and if you're going to do this, let me see if that's a question. Right, and the gradient. Now the gradient, let me make clear. Gradient is you moving from one thing to the other thing in a transition, right? So say for example, I start with white and I want it to end with green and I want it to go through blue, right? And I can change this to other greens to make it easier on the eye, right? And guys, this is something that you have to fool around with and just learn, right? Want to try red? That's fine. Let's see if I can do that one. And we can change it accordingly. So you change all the colors to look red, so you can do different shades of red for it to blend into. You can move it so you can see how it blends, right? And this is something you can experiment with for your presentations, right? You can also change it to be linear, you can change it to be radial, and see how the different pathways look. Again, guys, this is not something I'm going to suggest you for all the presentations because it's a lot of work, and that's why I say design last, but do your PowerPoint first, right? But for now, we're going to use solid fill, we're going to use a cheesecake, right? Looking color. So those are the different gradients. Now it's very complicated as it relates to gradients, so I do advise everyone to go and try it, but you can learn and practice and see what works best for you. So that way when you have group assignments, say, oh, we need to do a PowerPoint, you can volunteer, say, I can do it because I know exactly how it can look pretty and look presentable, right? Important thing to know as well, they will teach you in school. It's called PowerPoint for a reason. So you try to keep everything short on the PowerPoint. And what you can do if you need to write in the long version and the notes for you to read in class, right? You can put it here. So I'm going to show you what I press. I press notes and I can add notes. I can say in the notes, lychee is a fruit, tropical fruit. Not sure of what it's similar to, but it is used in pastries and has a unique taste, right? You put that there. You don't have to put it all the way up here, but you can put it here as well. That way you can read off the slide in a way that you're not reading everything on the. So it's called PowerPoint. They try to make them in point formats, all right? So don't ever practice putting the whole Wikipedia article on the PowerPoint and trying to read off it. You can use the notes here, and then when you're presenting, you can consult the notes, all right? Good. So again, different formats that you guys can use. Now the fun part, which I really like to do. All right, so let me put it back on the one that I had earlier, which tends to be my go-to. All right, I'm gonna take it off. Guys, you might not have access to this one. I think this is a paid feature, and I am fortunate to have that. So transitions. So say for example, you want the different slides to move into each other. I think you guys have ever seen that. Probably if you had presenters who share presentations, you may have those cool transitions. So say for example, I want my transitions to be, guys, you can tell me which one you guys want. The first one, as I say, I'll try. All right, so make sure I open the chat from now. First one that someone says they want to see, I will try it with you guys. Crush. All right, crush. Let me go look for that now. Let's see, where did it go? Good. You see? If I want to change the duration to make it longer, I can. Right? If I want to make it shorter, I can change the duration. But once you make a standard one that you want to use for all of them, you can press apply to all. And you're going to see this nice little star come up. That means it's on all of them, right? So let's do a quick slideshow and see how that is going to look with the crush. All right. That's it. All right, we're going to try one last one. Let's see how all right, that's it. All right, so I chose fracture. Someone takes another one and see what it will look like. Say curtains, all right. All right, see Natarian, right? So curtains, that's how a curtain would look like. Let's see how it looks on the slideshow. Yeah, you guys can do this is really or it's still showing crush. I didn't put the curtain on everyone. All right, so that's the curtain one. All right. So that's how transitions look. Always feel free to use transitions between your slides. It makes it a lot more interactive and a lot more interesting when you're presenting. So that way people can like it. Let me see. Oh, want to try one more? So we're going to try these last two. So fracture and ripple. All right. So fracture, let me put it and apply it to all. And then we can go back into slideshow and press from beginning. All right. Okay. Right. And ripple was the last one. So we're going to ripple. Let's see. Where is ripple? Ripple. Right, good. I have it there. Apply to all so that way we can see for all of them. And guys, if you're tired and you don't want to press move from going to slideshow, you see this button here, slideshow, you can just press it and it comes up from the slide. All right, so we're going to the doors. So see, so that's how ripples look and you have doors. Remember guys, I'm using the latest version. So when you go home to practice or when you're practicing, you might not see all of them. So last one up, doors. Last one, We're going to have to go in animations. Let me see. Doors. All right. Let's see. All right. How do you get the true or false layout? All right, vortex. All right, vortex is going to be the last one, but someone asked a good question. So we're going to go back to layouts. Now you have the different types of layouts. I'm going to blank slide, right? And say true or false. That's what it would look like, all right? So you go in layouts, you press true or false. Again, guys, I'm using the latest version, so this might not be on it, but feel free to use different things. So say, for example, right, I heard that you guys doing some of the career choices. So you want to show a picture of a career, you can go in and say content with caption, and we do that, right? To content, you can do comparison, you can use a whole picture and say, okay, this all, say for example, I want to be a pathologist. I will not show a picture of that. But if I want to be a pathologist, I'll put the picture here. That's what a pathologist does, and then it will show, right? And let me see if I can go back to the chat. I think there was one more I didn't to do. All right, so I'm just going to go back over it again to get the true and false, and then I do the vortex, right? That's going to be the last one I'm doing. So we're going to go into the true and false, and see, press layout, true or false, right? So that's what the card will look like if it's true or false. Not sure why, but that's the format of it. Right. We can also do a quoted caption to say, for example, talking about your characters and there's a fancy quote that you want to use, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. I'm not going to say that out, but that's what it says, be the change that you want to see in the world by Mahatma Gandhi. If you want to use that phrase when you start a presentation, you can put the quotes if it allows you. If not, you can put it on a separate normal slide like so. You can type it in as well. So the last transition that we're going to be doing is vortex, right? Yeah, I've seen these ones, right? And it's good to keep people engaged. It might seem small, but it's really cool to use, right? Oh, see? All right. So, right? To create a new slide, here's a shortcut. It's press on this and you press Control M. Control M gives you a new slide. You can come again and you can change layout. No, you can press the delete button to delete that slide. If, for example, you like this slide, you're going to use the same format, you can press Control D. Control D means to duplicate. When I say Control D, I mean pressing the Control key and pressing the D key at the same time, right? So say, for example, I'm going to do a next slide or the last slide. Reasons why I love cheesecake, right? Anytime. These are good reasons why you should eat cheesecake, right? Why do we eat cheesecake? For those who are cheesecake lovers like myself, can we share reasons why cheesecake is awesome? So we can encourage people who don't eat cheesecake to try it. Anybody? It tastes great. Amen. The texture. All right. Chefs among us. So it tastes great. Which is true. No one can tell me otherwise. Right. It tastes, whoops, my English. Tastes great. It's not dry like other cakes. That's true. The texture. Right. It's not dry. Not dry like other cakes. Other cakes. Right? And lastly, right, my last reason, there's so much types. So there are many types. You can never get bored, right? It melts, that's true. That goes on the texture though. It goes on the texture for real. So texture, rich and creamy texture. When you guys do food and nutrition, that can give you guys a better context on texture, right? So those are the reasons why, let's say we, let's not be sweet, right? So now we're going to go into animations, right? Which is something that we need to learn. So you ever, forgive me, you ever watch those shows where you watch your professors, you know, they would do the PowerPoint presentation and things may pop up, right? You would use the different animations. So this is the lamest animation, appear, which all it does is appear, right? You can try fade, you can try flying, float, right? And you can also change it. So you can look at these, and if you want it to move earlier, you want it to move later, right? So say for example, you want these to come ahead, you want these to come at the same time, right? Or what you can also do too is you can have different ones. So say for example, you want to change all of these to flying, right? And you have this one being fade, right? It will come up at different directions at the same time. Right, let me just check. Those are all right. Not sure. The person who took text me privately, I'm not sure what you're asking. It's great. Okay, if it's gray for you, we're going to fix that. So what you have to do to make sure it's not gray is to select the text. If you don't select the text, it won't come up at all. Right? So you have to select some text, right? If you're not, you have to select the whole. You have to open it up so the cursor is in it. This.
Sorry.
Repeat that if someone's speaking. Okay. Someone else speaking a while ago? Right. Glad you caught it. Right. You may not need to use them, which is true. You may not need to use them. You can do the presentation without them, but they're a nice add-in. I can give you that much, right? So say, for example, you want this to be early in the presentation, right? You can select and move it in earlier and let these ones come later. And it will tell you the order. So this one will come first, this one will come second, right? You don't have to do it, right? And that's why I say it's always best to start fitting in the PowerPoint first and then the animations later. But it's a good thing to do. It looks neat and it has a nice aesthetic to it, right? And it's cool for your presentation. It makes it look interesting and fun, right? So you can also select this and you can pick whichever ones. My advice to you guys though is to keep it standard, right? So say for example, for our transitions, we had used, what one I using comb, right? Use comb for all of them, right? Say for example, for here, I had the animations for the text to be multiple, right? So here I have it as floating, and for here I have it as, this part as fade, and this part as flying. Keep it consistent to ensure that it's the same everywhere. So this part should be fade, this part should be flying, right? It's a lot to do though, so don't focus on it to do a lot of it for everything, but what you can definitely do is try to ensure that you have it, so that way it looks, you know, neat. So what we're going to be doing is just to do a quick slideshow to see how everything would look, right? So I'm going to change this. And guys, the subtitle is your name. You just put your name there, right? So our name is e-Biome Summer Camp. And the presentation is cheese cake is life. Right? Which we can all agree. And those who don't agree, I wish you the condolences for not loving cheesecake. Alright? So slideshow. And we press from beginning. Now if you don't want to see it showing you the shortcuts. So if you don't want to come all the way here, you can press this button or you can press F5, which is at the top. And it comes up. The cheesecake is live by e-Biome Summer Camp. You press enter. Types of cheesecake. Alright. That's types that's just some types. Alright. Right? Now, say for example, back on the slide, it ran away, leave me. Like for example, something happened, and when I pressed it, the slide changed. I had to go back to a slide. I can easily press the up key or the up arrow to go back, the down arrow to go later down in the presentation. Right? And that's how you would do your presentations. Right? So you want to make it interesting, you want to make it attractive, so that when you're showing everybody your different career options or different things that you're interested in, you can look like this, right? And you can dedicate time into ensuring that the animations work in a way that you can talk about why it tastes great, and then you can set it that the texture comes up after, you can set it that not just. I'm going to go through that with you, right? Say for example, I want it to be, let me see, somebody said something in the chat. Let's not go that far, Jermaine. I wouldn't dare call somebody not human for not loving cheesecake. I would probably feel sorry for them, but I would not call them not human, right? Sorry. Forgive me. Hold on. I might have to mute my mic for a second. Forgive me, guys. Hear me now? Just let me know if you're hearing me. Alright, sorry for my background because I live in an area that I don't have control over when people wake up to play. I pray for you, Natari. I hope you love cheesecake one day. Right, so back to the animations, right? If you want to lay it in a way that you can show the different types of animations or to make the animations layered, so lychee comes first, then plain, then sorrel, then chocolate, right? Chocolate, right? You can go in animations and you can make those changes. So you can select it again, right? And press move later. If it's not allowing you to make it 3, you can just make everything else appear and then you change it as is. Right? So I just opened something called the animation pane, right? Where you can change the different types, right? You can make it come up in a certain order that you want it to come up in. Right? You can press it to start on click or start after previous. So I will use start on click, right? And I'll change it for each one. So that way when I press start on click, it will only come up until I click for it to come up, right? Now with that said, I'm going to go into trying it now. And again, guys, it is a time-consuming process. So if you know you're going to rush a presentation at the last minute, you don't have to go through the animations as much, but it's very rewarding to learn them, right? So just for everyone to see what we've worked on so far, right? So cheesecake is life. They say the types of cheesecakes are, there are different types of cheesecakes. Everyone knows this. We love cheesecake. We're excited when we see cheesecake, except not I. Right? They have lychee. You have plain. You have sorrel. You have chocolate, right? And these are the some of the cheesecake that we like, right? Reasons why we love cheesecake, right? We all said it's good for these reasons. It tastes great. The texture is rich and creamy, right? It melts in your mouth. It's not dry as other cakes, right? And there are many types of cheesecakes. Like, oh my God, you really have to love cheesecake. And he said, this is the end of my presentation. All right. Green tea cheesecake. I am not going to rule that out. I'm going to say you can try that and let me know if it's okay. All right. So guys, let me see if I can exit the screen now so we can go back. Right. So this is how you make a PowerPoint. I made sure to go over the basics, right? So what we're going to be doing now for the last 5 minutes, question and answers. Is there anything about Microsoft PowerPoint that you guys are unsure about? Last tip as well, just to show you guys. Experiment. Always try to experiment, format the text how you want it. So you can do shadow, you can do underline, you can do bold, you can do everything. There's no right or wrong, except strike through. That's wrong. It literally means something is wrong, right? But otherwise, experiment, you can change the fill, change that thing, the highlights, you can change the colors, right? You can look at different color schemes, right? And it's something that you guys should learn, right? So that when you're doing your school presentations, you have a lot of knowledge that you guys can use to make a good presentations. All right. So two sentences come together. All right, so someone asked a question, they're not seeing how. Just select the text and see if you can get it done. And if not, you can use the animation panel, the animation pane that I showed you guys, if you want to get the text to come up together, right? So in summary, guys, I hope you guys learned a lot. I'd appreciate if everybody is typing one thing that I share as you guys move into the next presenter. So in summary, you guys learned how to use Microsoft Word. You learned the basic functions of style and formatting, design, layout. Then we came over into Microsoft PowerPoint, where we learned why we use PowerPoint. I went through basic things as design, transition between slides, animations, and how to edit text and create new slides. Guys, it's important on you guys to really learn on your own, right? Have a spirit to always learn, experiment, trial and error on your own devices. And if you don't have a laptop per se, you can still use your phone to try to make it as possible, as interesting as possible. And I hope that when you guys create your presentations in the next couple of weeks, right, it's as interesting and it's fun, and you guys can use the knowledge that you have for your school activities as well, all right? So other